Hey, John Casta here for part 1 of the full body makeover course that you can do in your very own home. Today we're going to be covering the 5 fat blasting exercises that you need to be doing. First one, squat. Second, push-up. Third, shoulder press. Fourth, plank. And fifth, the deadlift. When trying to properly do the squat, there's a couple things you need to look for. A, are you on the heels? You don't want to be resting all your body weight on the toes. It's bad for your knees. 2, your butt's got to go down and back. You're not squatting forward into a seat, you're dropping back. And 3, make sure your chest stays up. Do not let your chest collapse at any point when you go down to a squat and face the floor. So I'm going to demonstrate it from the front and from the side view and go a little more into detail. First, get the legs about shoulder width apart, hands right in front where you feel comfortable. The higher you're bringing, the harder it's going to be for your flexibility. So, to start, get set, legs outside the shoulders or right at hip width, and you drop down low. And one thing you can try and do when you get low is to wiggle your toes. That will make you feel like you're on your heels where all your weight should be rested. So once again, we don't want to be coming up on our toes, putting all the pressure on our knees. So, just for the sake of demonstrating, here we go. There's a couple variations you can do. You can go a little bit wider, or go even close. Really depends on what muscles you're trying to target. You can get more quad action, the closer you go in, more glutes, the further out you go. We'll demonstrate how to properly perform a push-up. A, with the standard push-up, and B, with the varied push-up. So, what you want to do, you want to elongate your body, hands down, knees down to start, before you come up. Once you do come up on the toes, butt up. If you look at my body, you can see that I'm flat as a board up top, shoulders are relaxed, not rounded, and hips aren't dropping. That's because my core is being engaged right now. So, when we're doing a push-up, not only do we have to make note of the hips being in place, shoulders being relaxed, back flat as a board, the core engaged, but also you want your hands as if you're coming across your nipple line with a bar. Just like when you see people laying back on a bench, benching with a bar or dumbbells. They're not up here, and they're not down here. So, I'm going to demonstrate from the side and the front, standard push-up. And from the front. Now, if you don't have the upper body strength for a standard push-up, it's not a problem. The best way to move on next is to have the knees down for the adjusted push-up. Same thing, core engaged, hip and butt up, and back nice and flat like a board. Engage the core. This time our hands want to be out a little further, because instead of going straight down at the floor, we're going to be going at an angle, sliding almost. But the key with this is, don't let your butt stay up in the air when you go down. That's not right. You want to bring your body as if it's a flat board. You want to be sliding on that scale. So right here, core comes with it, butt down, press. 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 You'll develop the upper body strength from doing this exercise to build your way up to a standard push-up in no time. Once again from the front. Press. When performing a shoulder press, you're going to develop a lot of upper body strength and tone your shoulders and your arms along with it. So, a couple key things when trying to do the shoulder press. Never want your arms out like this. Always want your wrist joint directly above your elbow joint. Okay? So, elbows nice and tight, arms right here. You can come and start up here as well, but you get better range of motion if you start deep. So, when performing the shoulder press, we're going to press just straight through the range of motion up above our head. So, I'm going to be using kettlebells. You can use dumbbells or bands as well. Got my kettlebells here, directly underneath the joints, and split stance also. Help me support with my core. Pressing straight above, bring it down. Straight above, bring it down. Straight above, bring it down. Now the reason why we keep the kettlebells or dumbbells, whatever you're pressing, right above that elbow joint is the further out you go, the more risk you have of tearing your rotator cuff. It's a lot of pressure for you to try to be leveraging to get the weight up when you're that far out. So just a side view of this, pick up my kettlebells one more time, right here, split stance to protect my core, and press. Press. The plank is all about developing core strength. There's a couple variations too, which I'm going to show you both the standard and the adjusted. To do the plank, you want to be completely stretched out, elbows directly underneath the shoulders, not to place any undue stress on them, and toes dug into that ground back there. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to lift our hips straight up to the sky so we're nice and flat like a board, similar to our push-up position. What you don't want to see is the hips raising, lowering, or your shoulders rounding, just like with our push-up. When you're doing this exercise also, you want to squeeze your abs to really engage your core, sticking your hips, keeping your spine in line. To do the adjusted plank for those that don't have the shoulder stability or the core strength to hold themselves up, it's exactly like our push-up position. So once again, down here, elbows underneath the shoulders. This time, instead of our toes digging into the ground, it's our knees. Right there, raise up, flat like a board, hold, squeeze the abs, and that's it. This exercise, you want to build up to increments of time, not repetitions. So, a good goal to shoot for first, 15 seconds, then a 30-second hold, 45-second hold, 60-second hold. Usually 15-second increments are perfect for next level goals of this exercise. When looking at the form of the deadlift, it's really the most beneficial exercise you can do in one setting. Not only does it engage almost every muscle from your head to toe, but the amount of calories and work volume that you're doing is phenomenal. So, there's a couple key techniques to doing the deadlift properly. It's very similar to the way a squat looks, except it's all in the hips as opposed to the legs. So, if you watch from the side, you'll see that when I drop into a squat, my knees flex forward, right? They should be in line right here if they're unflexed. Now, when we're doing a deadlift, the knees do not flex forward. Instead, our hips leverage back and leverage forward. So a couple things what you want to watch for when you're doing a deadlift is A, the chest never faces square down to the ground. B, your knees stay locked back until you get past the point of flexibility, which is going to be right about here with whatever you're using, be it a dumbbell, kettlebell, or barbell. And C, you want to make sure your butt's sticking straight back on the heels, all your weight on the heels. So I'm going to be using a kettlebell for this. So watch very closely as you see that my knees do not flex forward like in a squat. Alright, so kettlebell right here, starting with the standing position, coming down nice and slowly. And I dig through the heels, squeeze the glutes at the end. Nice and slowly come back down. Once again, knees are not flexed forward, back is nice and flat, and driving the hips forward again. Drop the hips back, digging forward again.